Hey, good evening, everybody. Hello, John Henry Soda here, along with George Batista. He's either on that side or that side. He's always switching up on me. But welcome to Counterparts. We're really excited tonight. We have Hurricane H is in the house. I'm gonna attempt to pronounce the name. I've been practicing it, but he'll correct me. It's Hicham Elanmati.
Close enough.
I think that's and his middle name is John, and I was like, well, I think I could get John right. That might be the only thing I can get right. But we're very excited to have him on here. He's got a tremendous podcast, video show, and we're going to be talking about that, businesses, and just making things happen for all of us out there. So please stay tuned. Let's listen to some jazz, and we'll come back and have some fun. All right, welcome back. Thank you very much for listening to our little jazz opening there. So George, why don't you tell us about our guest and let's get going here.
Well, first we got to do some housekeeping.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes, come on, John. Now we got to pay the bills
I'm
here.
Sorry.
So the Counterparts show is brought to you by my favorite supplement company in the world, Wellness Resources, a family-owned and operated nutritional supplement company providing the highest quality, clinically formulated supplements since 1985. So find out why they are the top choice for health-conscious individuals around the world. Make sure you go to myvitaminresource.com, and if you put in the promo code Counterparts, you will get free shipping on any size order. So check it out. Cool. All right, so now we're going to talk about our buddy Hurricane H, and we're excited to have him on. So Hurricane wears many hats, not only as a seasoned healthcare sales executive and a leader with over 27 years of health insurance and managed care experience. He is also the founder and president of Elanmati Media Broadcasting Corporation, network featuring iHealth Radio, iHealth Channel, the Fit and the Fab Channel, the Beauty Channel, the Sales World Channel, and Nutritious TV, just to name a few. He is a journalist, a reporter, and talk show host who is not afraid to tackle tough issues on his show, and he uses his platform to motivate and educate others, and we are so excited to have him on this program. So let's bring him up, Mr. Hurricane H.
Woo!
All right.
What's up? How you doing?
Wow. I was hearing all that thinking, wait, is he going to be on our show? Thank you so much for doing this. This is so freaking awesome. We have a lot of questions. Like, I always say on the show, George is like very organized when it comes to the questions. I usually like to free flow a little bit. I like to kind of see where it goes. I'll come up with ideas and based on our conversation. So the first thing I want to say thank you so much, not only for being on the show today, but I also want to thank you for giving us some love on your show and sharing some of our episodes, which are our most viewed episodes, the ones that you've shared. So we want to thank you for that, because that is like tremendous, and we really, really appreciate that. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic.
I mean, I was looking forward to it. As soon as George said, hey, would you want to be interested in this? I'm like, sure, why not? First of all, George and I, we had a show on our own. We had it owned by, I was the host, he was the guest, and we talked about the good stuff, the nutrition stuff.
Yeah.
And from there, the discussion took over, and we talked about the opportunity to have because I love your content, by the way, just so you know.
Thank you.
I think it has to be shared, to more people. And then since I have the platforms to do that, I'm just, doing. Love is good. This is all about sharing the love, babe.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I was actually on a webinar today, and that was one of the main thing that we were talking about, that they were talking about on it, was that the podcast community. I think people think that it's just because you think everybody has like a show, everybody has a podcast, but not really. It's a small community, and when people really gravitate towards one another and they really support each other, it just makes it that much better. There's no competition. It's sort of like musicians in a way. When we played the clubs, me and George were in a band together, and we played clubs and all that. And we recorded stuff. There's a love between musicians. Yeah. That is just it bonds you in a way. Same thing with people that are doing this kind of content. It's important.
Well, I have to say, first of all, John, George, thank you for the opportunity to be here. But I wanted to say one thing. John, I know you and I, we didn't have a discussion prior in terms of the show, but I watch your stuff and I love the things that you do out there.
Oh,
and,
thank you.
And
Thank
your
you.
background too. So,
I appreciate that.
But just to jump on that discussion, the item you just mentioned there about the community, right? Listen, I mean, we all are doing the same thing. We try to send messages, resources, give information, educate, enlighten. I mean, my channel, my network, the mission is really educate, enlighten, inspire, and motivate. So that is pretty much aligned with everybody else that I hear out there. Right. I mean, topics vary. Everybody's got a niche, what they discuss primarily. My background, as you mentioned. And by the way, thank you for that introduction, Joe.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
We can talk about the story behind all that.
Yeah.
But really, it's motivated by the idea of sharing and really giving to people. And that's the bottom line. To me, if one person learns something one shot at a time, I'm happy. And over time, a lot of people will learn. And I also give it as a platform to people so they can have a resource. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you the story behind it, but we can go as far back as you want. And we can go just as close to the network and when it started. Whatever you want, guys. I'm all yours.
Yeah.
So I want to hear. So let's go back for a second, because I want to know about you specifically. I want to know where you grew up. I want to know what motive. I know I know some stuff about you because I know we chatted and we had that great talk last time. I know you're into martial arts and kickboxing and all that. You're definitely into health. You're definitely a motivated guy and stuff. So, but growing up, so how was your what did you do growing up? What were you into, and how did all this start for you?
Wow, you're taking me back, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're going deep.
Deep dive, baby. Well, this is going to age me, but that's okay. I'm no problem, no shame in the game here. Well, first of all, I just one thing I wanted to state. You said something about the name, so you did good. I've heard worse, and you did very well. So
thank you, I appreciate it. I went to YouTube and I was like, I heard like a clip over and over again. Something. I did the best I could.
I do the same. Sometimes some names I don't know how to pronounce them, so I go to those pronunciations and I make sure I get it right. And I verify.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's Hicham John Elanmati, and there's a story to John, and there's a story why we have Hurricane H here.
Yeah, we're gonna get to all that.
Absolutely.
Well, so let's go back. First things first. There's some echo there, but are you guys okay with that?
I didn't hear it.
That doesn't bother me.
All right, no worries. So I grew up in Morocco. So that's my birth country. That's the where I was born in Rabat, the capital of Morocco, and my journey really, started as an early little child. I was just getting active with different things, and one of the things that I started with was martial arts. Mm-hmm. My parents, they were strict. They wanted me just to be off the streets and do something and keep busy and get disciplined. Also, I was a little tiny dude, and so I got bullied a lot. so listen,
I still get bullied a lot.
Well, listen, I'm fortunate that these people exist today, and they will never end. But that was one of the things. So when I was, age 9, my parents says, okay, why don't you get into some activity? And one of them, I did some volleyball, believe me, at that age. And I grew up to actually play some volleyball junior team, local team. And then martial arts became my passion. So that was like every day I was there. Literally, I just finished school, homework, go. And then weekends, I'm in the dojo every day. And so that was karate. And so I grew up with that, and eventually it built that discipline, and that's martial arts is like a military base. You have all these things. You have the ranking, you have the respect, the discipline. So that helped a lot actually in the first base, if you will, or foundation for me. Mm-hmm. And also I have no siblings, so I kind of grew up all by myself. So you don't have a lot more, nobody else to play with and do stuff. So you get busy with social activities. At the time, there was no social media business. It was just like you go places. And so my family was, besides my immediate family, with the martial artists, and friends that I grew up with, and it was a journey. And so again, years go by, and I got to high school. And so at this point, just my first language was Arabic and French. When I say both at the same time, because In Morocco, we're French colony and Spanish colony. So it depends where you were born, and you'll have these languages. So the administrative language is French, and the main language is Arabic. So again, so that was kind of like the thing. So my motivation for the future, my business, my world, my everything, began when I got into high school and I went to my first class in English.
Okay.
That must have been interesting.
It was interesting, and it's a joke, literally. I mean, it's a funny joke, by the way. So I never actually spoken a word of English at the time. So I walk into this classroom and the teacher says, something in English. So I found out later what it was. Well, obviously I figured out what it was, rather soon. I mean, she said, "Good morning, everybody," and that was fun. So, but the way she said it, it was very funny. It sounded weird. It's all the cartoons right now. So I started cracking up, and so she was like really pissed with me. She said, "You do that again, you get out of here."
Oh wow!
It was bad. Education there is a little different, and we're talking in the '80s, so this was
yeah.
So it was a tough break, but from that point on, literally, I became actually so attached to English, believe me. So what I did, I said, okay, well, this is not working. I need to do more. And so I went to the American Language Center and registered as a second, language for me, or a third language at the time. And so when I got there, this was, first year of high school, and they had this little sign every year that they put in the summer that said, "Would you like to work in Epcot Center, Walt Disney World?"
Oh.
So now I'm looking at that sign like, damn. And so now I'm also surrounded with Americans and American culture and English. So now I'm becoming a lot more attracted to the American culture, the American way. Yeah. I was brought up a little bit more of a French culture-ish, as opposed to the American side. And then I wanted to change everything. So I became American then before I even stepped here. And so, so me and a couple of people who started just speaking literally just English between us to practice, right? Because that's what happens in language, you have to. And so we started doing that, and I became a lot more proficient in it, slowly but surely. So it says basically that the requirements to come to the States at the time were if you have your high school, you have, a good English, level, you can apply. And then you basically get an interview, you get this and that, and then you finish that. And if you pass, they hire you. Now, so mind you, like 4 years, every year I see that sign, I'm like working towards it. Like that was my thing. So that's it. That's the American dream. I'm going. That's it. And people laugh at me like, what the hell? Who do you think you are? You're going to go? I mean, this is not like a picnic. It's not just going to walk and to get into the plane and stuff. Just to give you a little background, back then, you can even get a passport in Morocco. It was hard.
Oh, really?
Let alone a visa, and to get a visa to the States, forget about it. I mean, immigration is very tight, and we have a very good relationship to the U.S. and Morocco for centuries. And so there's good scrutiny, but there's also a lot of regulation in terms of the immigration and laws and stuff. So there's no passports, and if you get a passport, it's very almost unlikely you're going to get a visa. So I'm like, okay. So I got to the point where I got my high school, and now I'm like what? Okay, what's going to happen here? I still want to go. But I realized one thing that, you get here, what are you going to do? You're going to like be a bum, do something, you're not going to be good if you come in without any background or stronger education or whatever. So I said, okay, no, I'm going to do something better with my life. Let me go to college. So I actually did register at college, and I went to a special school of tourism. It's an international school. And so that actually helped. So now that I have, not only have the background, I have the requirements to have a degree in hospitality. And that was actually more welcoming to Disney.
Right.
Wow.
So I go, now comes the interview process, or like the year I wanted to come. So this was 1992. So I graduate. Actually, believe it or not, my graduation day was actually the day I flew here. So.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a thing. So I interviewed with the casting, international casting from Disney, and literally we did actually. There's 3 stages. So you do an exam. So basically audio hearing, and of course a written exam. And then basically you pass that, and then you have a first interview with a local person from the school. And it happened to be my teacher, so it was like we're friends, we're just chilling. So it was like, she's like, okay, you got this. So I'm like, okay, now I have to get to the final stage, which is the interviewer from the HR department from Disney. Right. And her name was Becky, beautiful lady. So we had a great time. And she said, okay. Literally before I left, she said, "I'll see you in the U.S." That was her last one. So that was promising, but that doesn't mean anything because you still got to go through a visa.
Yeah.
So now I'm like all excited, and the word spreads out, and okay. So now what? People still say, doesn't matter. You're not going to get a visa. Okay, so then I go in front of the consular, the embassy, and they give me the visa. That's it. I'm done.
Wow.
So a month later, Disney paid for my ticket and everything to come in, and my role was actually a tour guide in Disney. So that was. And by the way, I'm not the only one. There were other people that did the same path. But again, for me, that was my dream. We're talking about the American dream. That's exactly.
That's it. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's funny. Last week I watched Top Gun.
Okay. Okay.
And when I was in the American school, Top Gun was the hottest, thing at the time. Right?
Oh, that's funny.
Okay.
So that was like that. That was like the dream. Like you see all the stuff and the biking and the lifestyle. Like that's it. I want to be him. Nice. That wasn't working out that way. But the fact is, that was kind of like one of the motivations. Stuff. But at the end of the day, I just wanted that lifestyle. I wanted to change, and I was motivated to do that. And so I worked my way towards it. And of course, I could have said I can just go there and wing it. And of course, if I was here without that background education, maybe things have been different for my career path and everything. So that first year was basically at Disney. I had a great time. It was beautiful, but you only have 1 year contract, and then you have to kind of move out, and that's it. So you gotta fend for yourself. So I found myself an opportunity in New York. So this was in Orlando. So that was my first home. And then I flew to New York and I started working for a travel agency, and that lasted about a month. Then I met my first wife, Boricua, Latina.
Oh, nice.
So we, she was a beautiful lady, and we had a great time. And she passed away, but
sorry.
But life, happens. So
sure.
But so now we stayed, and she moved out from Orlando. We stayed in New York. And because of my martial arts background, I was going to a gym, and then I met this dude, and he was actually an insurance agent.
Oh, okay.
So I was just doing my moves, and he's like, "What do you do?" I said, "Karate." He's that Taekwondo. So we started practicing together, and then I didn't realize, So he was from Egypt, and his name was Sam. And he looks completely non-Egyptian. So I wouldn't even pick them up as Egyptian. But at the end, they said, "Oh, where are you from?" "I'm from Morocco. I'm from Egypt." "Okay, we speak some similar dialects." Yeah. And the next thing he says, "You speak any other languages?" I'm like, "Yeah, I speak Spanish fluently." By the way, I skipped that part. I skipped that part because we're in the border with Spain. So I grew up traveling back to Spain, and then I also studied in college Spanish. And so at that time, he said, "Well, we're looking for an Arabic-speaking and Spanish-speaking person, and anything else we'll take." I mean, I spoke French, of course, and, So that was like, okay, so what's the job? Well, you're going to go talk to people and help them enroll in these programs. At the time, Medicaid managed care was just a new thing. It was demonstrated in New York, and basically it was just a demo project, as they called it, in the health industry and managed care. And this is, again, 93, exactly 93. So we're talking, my dude, and everything happens. He says, "Okay, well, you want to interview for this thing?" I said, "Okay." So at the same time, I actually interviewed for Virgin Atlantic. Literally the same day, I had 2 interviews there and there. So it was 2 paths. And obviously I wanted to stick with my background in hospitality and travel, whatever.
Right.
And so I did that. And in the meantime, believe it or not, I started, at the time, you could not do an online business the way it is today. It was kind of almost pre-computers. Well, not pre-computers, but the computers were not as available. Yeah. So there were these what they call home travel agencies. So I kind of got me a kit and bought this for like $500. And I started doing that on the side. And now I'm like, getting into this interview for either airlines or actually insurance. So I got the insurance. I said, "Okay, I'm going to take a day." I was a retail side job. And I go to this dude, my friend, we go to Brooklyn, actually, in Sunset Park. And he was working, so I worked with him. And I helped them get a couple of policies or a couple of enrollments. So he tells the manager at the time, like, "The dude got me 3 applications. He got me 3 people signed up today.
Hire him now."
I believe it or not, I got hired the same week.
Oh, wow.
That's how you do it.
That's it. And so I started, and, of course, you're the newbie. There are like 10 agents just like you. And you have to find your way out. Now, I'm not sure. I know you're in LA, I think, right? You're at West Coast?
No, I'm actually in Nashville.
Oh, Nashville. Okay, and
Yeah,
George,
yeah.
you're.
I'm in New York.
New York, yeah. So in Sunset Park in Brooklyn, there's a hospital, Luther Medical Center. It doesn't exist anymore. It's New York, NYU now. But so we were like all of us in that same place. And so here I am. I'm trying to be competitive with my folks here. And how's it going to be? It's not easy, right? You got 10 people that are there. You're the new guy, and you got to make your dent, right? You got to make sure that you can succeed here and at least show that you can do the job. So I figure out ways like they will come in 9 to 5. I come in at 7 in the morning. I leave at 7 later. So I get a couple extra hours. I go to places where they didn't go. And I was every day doing better than them in terms of the numbers. I mean, we're in sales, right? You have to sell, right? So that was kind of like the first thing, like, how do I make my move? And then I got noticed by our president at the time. I said, why don't you, we love what you do. And I was recognized, and she said, okay, we want you to do something else. We want you to add something to this deal. I'm talking about 3 months in. And so now they give me a little bit of not a promotion, but something in there to help, with other processes. So I did that. And about a year later, 2 years later, again, this is not what I want to be. I don't want to be a rep. I mean, nothing wrong with being a rep, but, I want to make more money, obviously. And by the way, at the time, there's no secret here. The salary was about $21,000. Now, mind you, for me, that's big money. So
exactly.
At the time, I was like, okay, this is cool, right? But then that's not enough. I need the next stage, and next step. And so I go a year later. I'm like, I need more. So is there another? So I applied for a manager job, and I get denied. They denied me. They said you're not qualified.
What?
Yeah, I was. Well, listen, I was only a year in, and they figured that I was not ready. And I'm like, okay,
maybe not ready, but definitely qualified.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, here's the story is going to be just better, as we go here. But so I go in there and they tell me this, and this is actually for people listening. I say this all the time. No matter what, if you believe in yourself and you have the drive and motivation, just go for it. Don't worry about what people think of you. If you don't know or you're not ready, make yourself ready. So I asked the question, why am I not ready? Like, if you think I'm not qualified, tell me why I'm not. Well, you're not organized enough. Oh, okay. Well, I haven't had a chance to be organized because you haven't seen me when I was just doing the rep work. So it's easy. I'm just my absence, submit them, and that's it. So, okay, that's fine. So is there another opportunity? And then the director at the time had an opportunity of community relations and special events. Well, that's an opportunity where you have to be organized, right? You have to be doing it. Yeah. So you design, you basically go out, meet with elected officials, you meet with clergy, you make this, that, and then you create these events, and then basically you bring in people come in, and you have activities, music, entertainment, you name it, right? And so for 1 year, I did that. We're doing good. And now I go back again, but there's no opening. So I said, okay, this is not going to work. So I moved to a different company. So I go to this company for a different line of business, same world, but just I was doing Medicaid. I went to Medicare. And so now I'm in the Medicare space, different level of pay and different level of work because you don't actually go to the office. They gave us at the time fax machines. They shipped all of our supplies to the house. And good luck. you have a goal for the month. Make it happen or else, right? So I'm like, all right, I like this. Now, I went from 21. This was about 45,000 base plus commission. So, hey, things started looking up.
Sure.
I was like 23, 24 at the time. I forgot. I mean, we can add up the age. So, but at the time, it was sweet stuff. Nothing going on. We had a baby at the time, so we had my first kid. And that was it. So I worked 6 months, and the manager in the previous plan left. So I called the director and said, dude, I need the job. You know what I want.
Wow.
I haven't
Give me what I want.
Give me what I want. He said, come in. No, I swear. He said, come in Monday. So I go in Monday. And so we had a discussion that the job is yours.
Wow. Look at that.
So
That's
I take
amazing.
I say, this is, again, 2-3 years in the making. And so so that's the next step is. And again, I hope we're in line with your content for the day, but this is actually the story, really step by step. Yeah. And everything is verifiable. Trust me. Yeah. So for some people, like, is it full of shit? No, I'm not.
I was gonna add in that you was talking about earlier when you mentioned the visa issue, and people are like, "Wow, you're not gonna get a visa," and all that stuff. And it's something that we talked about, I think, yesterday on the show. We talked about the fact that people are always gonna say stuff from their reality. That person that said it cannot get a visa because that's what they believe.
Right.
But if you don't take on those viewpoints and you don't take on that whatever that stop is, and you just keep moving forward with your purpose. And it seemed like you had a purpose from early on. You're looking up and you're seeing like Epcot Center, and you're seeing Disney, and you're like, that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. And you put that attention on it. Of course you're gonna get it. And even that job that you just right now, you just got that. Of course you heard about it because your intention was high. We talk a lot about that here. People think that luck has a lot to do with things, and it's like, it's preparation, man. It's like viewpoint. It's like having the mindset that whenever that opportunity comes, you're ready. And if that's the luck you want to call it luck, go ahead, call it luck. Like I had somebody tell me not long ago, and it kind of pisses me off, but he said, oh man, you really lucked out. Because I moved to Nashville, I got a wife, and I got 2 beautiful kids, and we have a nice little place here, and I'm doing some stuff. I'm a filmmaker, and I'm doing some cool stuff. Oh man, you lucked out. And I remember it was just on a conversation, but I remember thinking like, I lucked out. I was like, man, do you know how many days there were beautiful weather out there, and I'm home doing webinars and figuring out shit and trying to figure out what's my next move gonna be and all that. I'm like, there's no figuring out, and it's no luck here. Everything was just figuring it out. So I love that story. And can you? I'm sorry, George. Do you have?
No. Keep going.
I'll just go on.
No. Go. You're on a roll.
But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about when that transition between the jobs, right? Because one of the scariest times that I think a lot of people had, even the last couple of years, has been transitioning to whatever it is. Whether you're working from home, whether you have to get a new job, whether your job is forcing you to do certain things that you don't want to do, moving to another state, whatever it was, we decided we were going to leave. We moved to Nashville and we landed here, right? And we're super happy here. But that transition is really scary. Now, this is a different time, but back then you had the same kind of thing. You're coming from another country. You speak like a lot of languages. You went from French cuisine to American cuisine. I don't know why. You went from like croissants and escargot to hot dogs and.
I still do croissant.
Yeah.
I get it from Costco.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? But that transition, what was your mindset during that time? Did you have stops anywhere along the line? Were you having to overcome other people's considerations?
Well, certainly. I mean, when the first thing is coming, just leaving your family, right? I mean, we'll talk about that quickly. I mean, like I give this actually in training sometimes when people have these losses of mindset, or they think that the world is going to end. I'm like, if I was able to travel from a continent to another and across the ocean for an opportunity, you think I have a problem moving from one city to the other?
Right.
And that actually happened when I was in Orlando. Most of the people that did my job or were in Disney recruited from, because in Epcot you have these communities, right? So you have multiple nations in there representing, their countries, and so the people that are authentic. So they bring the French from France, the English, the Germans, and so Japanese. So we all lived in the same complex. We all shared the culture. That's why it was a culture exchange, but a college program. Right. And so when I was leaving, most of my friends said, "What the hell's wrong with you? Where are you going to go to New York? You can start a job outside here. There's plenty of opportunities. You can work at a store, and you stay." It's like, dude, if you're going to make it in New York, you're going to make it anywhere. And I didn't come here to just go back and work for minimum wage and do what I have to do here just to survive. Not happening. So literally, I took the plane to New York. I didn't have anybody in New York.
Wow.
I didn't know one person. I didn't even have an address. We just got into New York City. I got a bus that took me to 42nd Street in Manhattan. I grabbed the cab and said, "Take me to the first youth hostel, the closest youth hostel you have." Now, youth hostels, as you know, these are just for transitional youth, and just go there. We paid $14. Me and a friend of mine, we paid $14 a night for a week until we found a place to stay.
Wow.
And that was it. So there was talking about planning. So that's the plan. I mean, I kind of set up a job ahead, and again, it's a crapshoot, right? You don't know. You go in and get up there. Right. I wasn't even sure if the guy's going to hire me when you stepped down on that day you showed up, right? But the fact is, he did. So and then we still needed to figure out where we're going to live and so on and so on. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best. You just move on. Most people, to your point, the reason people have this fear, because it's the unknown, right? You don't know what you're going to find. Right. But historically there was this Gibraltar, right? We all know Gibraltar. So the guy, that mount, the rock, is actually named, from a historic figure, right? And it was a war at the time. This was the Andalusian, and so the Moors, the Spanish, and all this stuff. So there was the Islamic conquest, whatever they at the time. So this dude actually crossed from Tangiers in Morocco to Spain with an army. And basically what he did, he burned the freaking boats, and he says, you know what? That's the sea, and there's the army in front of you. You go ahead and fight. There's no coming back.
No coming back.
That's it. So that's actually, I use this, analogy that whenever you move, the back is behind you is behind. You leave it, it's gone. There's nothing else. If you look back and you always want to have that little anchor there in the back, on cushion, it ain't happening. You gotta move forward, do your thing, and the rest is history. You're gonna figure out. And actually, that's my motto from then. It works today, and we can talk about how the EMBC TV network started shortly. But that's kind of like the same concept. So don't to your question, John. People fear transition because they're afraid of that next move, or they're afraid that it's not going to work. What's the worst that can happen?
Right. That's what I always say.
If you actually set yourself up that the bad things are going to happen and you can face them, nothing else is going to scare you. You can't be scared.
Right.
There's nothing to be fearful for.
And think how boring life would be if you knew exactly what was going to happen. What the hell is that? There's no fun in that. The whole fun is the adventure of trying to figure stuff out.
Exactly.
You don't know. How many times have I done things and I'm like, oops.
John, you did it. You moved from here.
Yeah, we moved, and it was not easy. I remember unloading the truck. It was 96 degrees when we got here in July of last year. It was 96. And I hired some random people that I don't know from Craigslist to help me unload a truck. Some dudes showed up. They were all fine. They all helped me just move stuff out. I was drenched. And I was just like, I'm never going to have to do this like all the time. This is an adventure. I didn't know that I was going to be stuck with the truck because it was late and there was shipping things. And, it was a big kind of mess. But with every single thing that occurred that landed on my plate, I just took it as like some stuff that I just need to handle as opposed to run away from. I think running away is part of the solution of fear. When, people are afraid, they just run the other way. And that's that fear is that thing that you were running away from is still there. And it ain't going anywhere. It's just going to get bigger.
Exactly. And you know what? So if you set, first of all, when you're like, it's like a race, right? You start. First step, and you go.
Right.
Actually, I use this, believe it or not. Some people have fear of flying, as we know, right? So I tell people, I have this thing. This is how I get over it. Once that plane takes off, there's only 2 destinations. So I believe it. I say it, people laugh, but they think I'm crazy. But that's how I set it up. I mean, both of them are going to be beautiful. I'm going to make it to one destination or the other. I'd rather go to the destination I'm actually paid for.
Right.
But there is one that is going to be certain. And at the end of the day, I'm not worried about that part because if it happens, it's time. And obviously that's not the way to go. Right. Or at least that's not how you want people are always afraid of this. But we're all gonna go somewhere. But I'm saying I use those things in my mind to just kind of set me up in terms of like always thinking positive about things. And I tell people this, like my weakness is I don't see negativity. So I don't care what you think. Like I said, this is death. We talked about that right now. To me, it's not scary because I know it's part of life, and you're gonna have that's the only certain thing in life is that, which is
exactly. Right. One of the things that you did, and listening to your story, is you asked the right questions, and that's one of the things that it's one of the things that I talk to my daughter about. I always ask her. My daughter's 15. She's figuring out things in life. She gets motivated for certain things and everything, and I tell her, listen. Your questions is not why did this happen or why did this happen to me, but how can I fix it? How can I get over this? How can I change this? Just a shift in that question is going to completely change your mindset. And that's how I live. And that's how I was able to, learn how to play the drums really well and learn how to do this and learn how to do all these things, because my mind was always like, how do I get over this? How do I figure this out? Questions you ask yourself are huge, right?
Yeah. It's cause and effect.
Right. Exactly.
Like, you want to be the effect of it and be like, oh yeah, or you want to be cause over your life.
Right. The victim mentality.
Right.
Well, it's also comfort zone. People are
oh man,
they do not want to do,
they love that comfort zone.
And listen, 90% of people, and then maybe I'm exaggerating, but the majority of people like to wake up, they have the routine, they do the same thing, they come back, it's all comfort and stuff. As long as they get that income and they're resourceful and they pay their bills and they can have a good time once a week or twice a week, they're good. See, I'm not like that. I was never like that. I'm not settling for little. I wanted to have a house at a particular time. Guess what? I did buy the house exactly when I put my head to it. Even my first something I skipped when my boss at the time said, I want to give you that job, the events and community relations. He gave me a condition. I didn't have a car then. I lived in Bay Ridge. So I used to actually walk to the office literally or take a bus. And so he said, well, if you want this job, it's going to be all over the city. You need a car. I was like, I need a car, and I get the job. He says, yeah. So I actually borrowed money. I bought a car for $600. I borrowed money. It was it lasted me 3 years. So it was
not bad. Oh, okay.
It was a Ford Tempo, and it was believe it or not, the joke is I still. The car was beige, seats inside, but they were a little dirty. So I took a spray paint. Literally, I put like leopard looking. It worked, man. I made it look good. That didn't matter, but it lasted me a couple of years. But because of that $600 I invested to actually make more money, to actually prove myself in what I needed to do. So, sometimes you take a step forward, step back, whatever it takes, but you cannot stop. You just got to find a way and have the will. Because again, if you said you have a car, well, I can't do anything. Well, I just asked my friends, next paycheck, I'll give you money. Can I borrow money now? The guy's got a car, and it happened to be at an event location. The guy said, "Here's a car for sale, $600. You take it." I'm like, "I want to bring you the money tomorrow."
Right. There you go.
But see, those are the things. I mean, you have to be solution oriented, as you said. How am I going to do this? Right. And people sometimes, like I said, they're comfortable, they're okay. They don't want to change. I mean, many people do not. Oh, I'm going to leave my family. Again, you asked me about hurdles. That's a big deal. I mean, you're a young dude. You're leaving. You're always been with your parents. You have no other family members or siblings, and now you have to leave your mom, your dad, and literally 9 years later, I didn't see them for 9 years. Well, my mom I did because she came and stayed with me here, but my dad for 9 years I haven't seen him physically. I mean, we talked, and at the time it was WhatsApp and Facebook and Skype. It was you just got to talk to them. Right. So I lost a lot of that, but he was supporting what my decision was. He was there for me. We were not rich. I mean, we were okay, and so they gave me the money to start my journey. And that was it. The rest was on me. So, but that leap, right? Into the unknown, it's there. But I have one rule: if someone can make it or can do it, so can I.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not a rule. I mean, anything that you put your mind on, you can do. You don't know it, you learn it. That's it. I mean, as simple as that. I mean, and we can talk about where the journey took me to today. But that's really. And I use some of these things in my trainings also, like when people are out there. And I give them these facts. Because people say they don't trust you, like, well, you're full of baloney. This is, dude, I can do it better than you, and I've done it, and I can show you, and that's what I am. So
exactly.
So that's where we're at. I think you want to say,
yeah. So I mean, I want to kind of dive into EMBC and kind of see how that started for you, and what was one of the what was the journey for that, or what was the initial thought that you kind of said, I'm going to start this. What was that? It's a big bite, and you've done incredibly well, and it's very impressive. So it's like, wow.
Well, I'll give you so quickly. I'm going to just kind of move the time. But so in that role, became manager, director, VP. I started a business on the side, and that's the other. I believe in always having your different eggs in different baskets. So this way you don't kind of always, because shit happens, and sometimes companies shut down, say get out, and that's it, or it's not working out, bye-bye. So you have to relay your family, you have to be responsible and accountable to your personal. And again, I always say I don't work for people, I work for me. Even when I work for corporations, I exchange, my skills and work with them against whatever compensation, and that's actually the financing for my operation. That's it. That's how I put it. But so I started my own agency. I did something else. My wife and I started our own fitness company, and we also started some cosmetic stuff, which is Moroccan oil, right? And so in that discussion, when we did that, about 3 years ago, I was transited to a company in Philadelphia, and for a VP role for the insurance. And when I moved there, obviously I come in from New York, and as you can see, I'm hyper. So, so
perfect for New York.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
New York and Philly. I mean, it's like perfect.
Well, it's not as bad. I mean, you get first out, it gets even mellow, but even in Philadelphia, the pace was different.
Right.
I see the operations, right? So you're into this company and you're running like, all over the place. And that's my name, Hurricane H began.
Right.
So Hicham is the name. So when I used to come into these meetings, everybody says, "Oh, here comes Hurricane Hicham." Right?
Okay.
So that had nothing to do with NBC. That's not how it
Right.
started. But
Right.
there was a reason why I chose that name, because as you said earlier, it was difficult to pronounce mine. So I had to figure out a stage name to make it easy for people, right? To remember me and also to introduce me. And so as I moved to Philadelphia, this thing happened, right? And I was the VP of Sales and Operations, and there was another VP that got promoted to SVP. She was in marketing. Anyways, not about her, but there was a challenge that was thrown at me. And so I had suggested to do a YouTube channel at the time, for the company.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do something, to promote ourselves and have, programs and education, nurses come on, doctors do diabetic talk and everything. Same thing here.
Right.
Because I believe, there's a lack of education. I mean, the media companies out there, I'm not putting any media down here, the standard media is about news, about documentaries, maybe about movies and things. That's all good, but there is a component of resources and maybe even the educational, inspirational stuff like that. You don't see a lot of that on regular media, right?
Right.
It's like there's a channel for it, like there's a weather channel. There's no health channel, right?
Right.
So that's really the concept. So I suggested this to these guys and say, hey, why don't we do this? It's not about it. It's not going to work. Okay. So one day there was one of the employees did a talk show, a religious talk show on Sundays, and so she said, "Why don't we promote, the plan in that show?" Great news. So I assigned one of my representatives to actually go on the show, and it was a radio show. So now a couple of days later, I get this discussion that kind of annoyed the hell out of me, and the person says, "Well, why didn't you go? You're the VP. You should have been on the show." I'm like, "What do you mean I can't do this? Is that what it is?" I mean, there's a reason I assigned a rep. I mean, the reps are better than me. See, just because you're the VP doesn't mean that you know better than your staff.
Right.
Your staff is there for a reason, and they know the stuff. We're a team. We have different things that we do.
Right.
I can do the job, but they do this every day. I do stuff outside. They do the stuff in front.
And that's a true leader, actually, what you just described. That's what a leader does.
Mm-hmm.
Understands they do that all day long. Why would I take that on? It's like.
Exactly. And they're gonna be able to help people, not only just on the show, but they can go and meet with these people, present to them, do all stuff.
Sure.
So there was a strategic reason why I did it, not because I was fearful of going on a talk show. So that's it. That's exactly the driver behind, this whole thing. So I'm like, oh yeah, is that how it is? I'm gonna show you how it's done. This is how I roll. You give me a challenge, I'm gonna make this challenge happen for you. So you know what? Watch. So actually, eventually I left the company, didn't work out. And so just before I left the company, about 2 months, I actually launched the iHealth Radio. So, and that's when I said there's a weather channel, I realized there is no health channel.
Yeah.
So because I am actually online, the radio is an online radio. So I cannot call it iHealth Radio. And, I think there's only a couple of similar names out there, but they do different things. But so that was it. So I did, the concept was there. I put it together. I needed a stage name. So Hurricane H it became the actual stage name, and it just came in handy.
Yeah.
They gave it to me. So they give me the motivation, and they give me the name, they give me the drive, and everything else was mine. So I started doing it, and I launched actually in January of 2020, before the pandemic. So the first show was on the radio playing, and then the first it was just music and things, and I was building things and testing it out. And I did my first show really in February, and I think March was actually the first broadcast on the actual channel, like so the iHealth channel. Then it was iHealth Radio, then iHealth channel, because I figured if we do an audio, might as well do video.
Right.
And so as I said, since we had the fitness channel, the fitness company, and the beauty company, the cosmetics, I said, well, let's just create different themes. So when I did Disney, when I was at Disney, one of the things that we learned there, we had to actually be part of the business seminars. So they basically, you study in what they call it Disney University, and you pick a subject. So the subject I picked was actually theme parks management and design. So basically that was kind of like, where the theme concept came. So everything I do in life is always themed. So if I do something, you're going to see this, you're going to see that, you're going to see the look, everything is all about that.
Sure, like branding.
And the branding, exactly. So technically, every channel has a theme. So we talk. So it's all related, but like one is health, one is nutrition, one is this, but they all. Yeah. And sometimes the shows actually overlap, but at the end of the day, they produce on those. And eventually, the concept came in. Now, and by the way, that's the other thing. I don't do things just because it. Most people said, well, YouTube, I can be a YouTuber, right? But that's not what I wanted. I mean, I can use YouTube as a platform, but not, because you have people that just solely, I'm a YouTuber, right?
Right.
Or, I'm an influencer. That was not the intent, but the concept is use this as a platform to reach more people.
Right.
Yes.
So that was it. And so that's it. Now, if YouTube monetizes and make money in there, why not? There's nothing wrong with that. Right. We're not going to say no to that. But so that was the concept. But the idea is to build one in there. So I like to do things correctly. So obviously I incorporated the business. So that's why Elanmati Media Broadcasting Corporation. And then I got myself registered as a reporter and a journalist. So I have, my press badges and stuff. So I can do all the stuff legal. Nobody can say, oh, you can't. What are you talking about? So it is an official media company that has legitimate, credentialing and so credentials. So it's not like, hey, we're just, making it. This is beyond just the usual. So, and then from there on, and I started by myself first. It was just me talking about my expertise, the insurance world and, some sales stuff. Yeah. And then I started getting guests. And so they started doing, a couple of guests first, and the interviews were like just fun and entertaining and resourceful. And the rest of it, people started sending links, hey, can I come in? And so of course I participate in different, podcast, matching, platforms. So I get different, resources that way. And also I get through my LinkedIn, I get them through my, like the last two shows, one of the shows 3 weeks ago, was from a guest that I met at a cruise ship as an engineer.
Oh, wow.
So whenever I'm talking to people, hey, listen, I see something interesting that we can share value to the public. For you, it's a win-win. The public learns something and gets
exactly.
Besides entertainment and education, like I said, like my motto is time to evolve. This is like the educational network. This is not news network and other things, right? So it's all about bringing, and it's resources. People sometimes don't know where to go. And also, it's a promotion to the companies. You sell just like you promote right now a company that's a sponsor, right?
Right.
Exactly. So everybody wins. There's nothing. It's a win-win for all. Yeah. And that's kind of like the concept. So it's really and then the next stage. Now I'm always looking at what's the next step, what's the next move, how do I make it bigger and bigger. So again, now we're on Roku. We're going on Apple TV soon. So it's just we are pretty much, if it's visual, we're going to be on it.
Nice.
I'm even talking satellite. I did a stint with the Now Network. About 6 months, I was actually broadcasting there. So, but the idea is, I do my research. I find out what it is, how much it's going to cost, and then I build to that, and then I do it. And I invested, my own personal money in this, and I still work actually on the regular job, and I still have my other sources of income to make sure that I get this. This is done. It's also about talking about organization. You have to manage your times, and I run things out for projects. One is I do my day job. At night is my things. I have my weekends, and I still do my family business.
Right.
So, and that's how it's done. But you cannot be scared. You cannot be fearful, and this is it. There's nothing. There's no coming back from here. I'm just gonna keep going, and next thing we're gonna be. It's actually right now we just published, on Roku worldwide, so people can watch us all over and whatever Roku is available. And again, next thing will be on all what do you call it, smart TVs, and then we hopefully will expand the actual broadcast as well as the studio and the guests. Now we're actually hosting different programs and on the network. And that's how it's again, and that's the plan. It's the future is just keeping up to make it a network, and every channel will have its own guests and content and stuff. And I also do reports in the field, so I have other ideas. But because of the pandemic, John, I know earlier you said something about the pandemic. It was crazy. The pandemic made a lot of shift. Yeah. And so if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that now. But
definitely. One of the things that you that's interesting is that we're sort of like, because George and I always talk about the same kind of concept where sometimes we'll meet somebody and that person will have like a tremendous amount of value in their story, in their journey, but there's always that one thing that makes them kind of hold back on telling that story and being able to share the journey, and with platforms like yours, it really does open the door to a lot of people being able to like see someone doing that, sharing their platform and or sharing their journey on a platform and being like, you know what, maybe I could do that. Maybe I should consider telling my story a little bit more, because you're right. The pandemic did a lot of things, and it closed the door on a lot of people's ambition because they used it as an excuse to not have to do more or not have to do that thing that they've been planning on it. It's really easy to be like, well, I can't do anything. I mean, nobody's doing anything. I started this during the pandemic, and then George joined, I think a year and a half ago, George, during the whole thing. I edited a film during the pandemic and released it. And this year it's in like 4 festivals so far. I did that during the pandemic. You know what I mean? Instead of looking at it as a stop, look at it as an opportunity to do something. And you're a perfect example of that. During the whole pandemic, you're building this this network, which is like amazing, and being able to continue to expand it. I mean, it's like that's what we're talking about. I do want to talk a little bit about we're almost at an hour. It's like,
wow,
we're gonna do a part 2 here with Hurricane. But like, for example, during the pandemic, one of the things that a lot of people did was just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped. Not only they're going to work, which a lot of people did, almost everybody, but they also stopped being creative. They stopped producing. They stopped being excited about potential and what you can do. Can you talk a little bit about, like, there are people out there right now that are sort of coming out of this. I mean, I was on a meeting earlier where, I won't even talk about that. But anyway, people are still in a place of fear. People are still, not fully comfortable yet coming out. And I understand it to some degree. I don't want to be like, insensitive to that either. But at the same time, can you talk a little bit about what was that to those out there? Like, what should they be looking for? How did they rise above their own negativity? Like, you don't go negative. I don't go negative either. Even if my wife brings something up to me, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, over there. That's not here. Here we're just doing stuff. How do you do that? What would you recommend to someone out there sitting at home listening to this now, being like, I want to do that, but I'm nervous?
Well, thank you for that. Well, so a couple of things. One, yeah, the pandemic did actually have a number on everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, I had that maybe 50% of my guests, did start businesses within the pandemic, and they're doing great right now.
Wow.
So there is that kind of, world. But to your point, there's still the majority of people probably have been on the slower side, or the hibernating side, if you want to call it that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because of the fear. There's 2 levels of fear: the fear of just the disease and everything that came with it. People didn't want to go out and socialize in just general because they didn't want to get the bug. But then my thing is this: first of all, negativity and mindset, are something that you have to be clear about. It's all about the mind, how you see things, right? If you are surrounding yourself with news and you watch the news every day, no news is good news. I mean, let's call it for what it is. You're watching, and I know that expression can be, managed differently, but I use it on this context. But the idea is, the concept is, if you're listening to everybody telling you like, oh my God, the world's ending, well, the world ends for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. As simple as that. The world, you have to be full of life, and you have to think about it. Now, I'm not saying everybody's going to be at the same pace. That's the other thing. You don't compare yourself to everybody. You don't have to compare yourself to me or anyone. But you look at people. If they're doing it, why are they doing it? What's the drive? Now, it might take you a different path. It might take you a little different step. Like, we can both start the race, and we can go at different. I have actually a beautiful analogy I use in trainings, in sales training. So I say we all have to be on the same train. Now, people say, why the train? Well, the train can be good, like bullet trains go like, almost Mach 1, right?
Right.
In Japan. But you can be, sleeping on a train, walking in a train, in the bathroom in a train, having a drink, having food. You can do a lot of things in a train, but it's still going the same pace. But everybody's at the same level of their own, pace, but you're still going to the same destination.
Interesting.
So when you get in, you have to hop on the train. If the train goes, it may be too late. You have to catch the next one. But that's also looking at positivity. Just because you left, there's another one. It's never too late. So again, that's the other thing. You're not ready today. Maybe I wasn't ready 3 years ago. Maybe I wasn't ready 4 years ago. I started business, like I told you, I started the business, the first one in 93. Didn't work out. I started one that was good. I sold it. I started another one that's been hanging out for a few years. I started a couple that didn't, they're still pending, but there's nothing going on with them. But you know what? I try things. I have an invention that is patented and it's out there. It's a 20 years utility patent, and it's alive. I got an idea. I went through it. Wow. It cost me a couple of $1,000s, but you know what? It's there, and I can say I'm proud that I did something that eventually someone may see value of it and use it. Right. But so what I'm saying, it's not about me. It's about how you think about things. We can look at two different things. We're looking at people that are not doing. Well, let's look at the people that are doing. It's the same. Like you can be looking at the cliff. You can be looking at the beautiful scenery. It's up to you.
Right.
I see there's a lot of memes out there. I mean, the social media, I pop, these things every day, right?
Yeah.
I'm into all these positive groups and things because it's just your mind, you control.
Right.
I mean, literally, again, you watch the news, it's depressing, get motivated, just shows. Podcast is great. I mean, you have talking about, the community. There's so much, stuff going on in the podcast world. It is actually the next thing. I mean, people are using podcasts now as a real thing, to convey messages and resources and things like that. There's so many platforms, but don't collapse on yourself and think the world is going to end. Have the ostrich effect. Just because you're going to put your head down and hide doesn't mean if a storm is coming, just being in a house is not
your body's still out there.
The storm is coming. You better be prepared for it. But at the end of the day, so to talking about preparation. I mean, fail to plan to fail, right? Or also like prior planning prevents poor performance. I use those equally. But the fact is, you always have to be ready. But look at what you're good at. That's the other thing. What can I do? Can I start something? Am I good at talking? Like I make a joke all the time. Like I'm in sales. We make a living talking. We talk bullshit every day. Right. Some people don't get paid. We get paid. That's it. So again, use your own skills. And some people are talented with their hands. So you're a musician. You make movies. So use what you love, right? Yeah. And that's the other thing. Find your passion. Work towards it. That's it. There's no. I mean, that's the magic formula. And by the way, many people dread their jobs. You go to the work and you're like, oh my God, and it's like, and then you're worried about finances. I mean, again, some people are religious, some people are not. I just believe that all our provisions, all our revenue that life is already prescribed. So I'm not even worried about that. It's just you got to find the ways to it, and if there's a will, there's a way. And I'm talking legal ways here, so let's be clear. Someone's like, well, Hurricane said you can do it. Nah, just
we'll blame you for any calls or any emails. We said it. I didn't.
But you know what I'm talking about. I mean, you can do things. Sometimes I dread people say like, oh, I can't find a job. I'm hiring today. I'm hiring every day. I can't find people. People can make $150,000 a year. Literally doing the insurance job that, in my team, as a broker or as a captive agent. And I still can't find people. And they say, I can't get a job. Well, I don't want to get minimum wage. Call me and trust me, I'll get you, you have to get a license. We'll help you get a license if that's what's needed. But the fact is there's ways to do this. You can make money if you want to. But if you if I say to myself, it's not happening, it's not going to happen. The mind listens. Literally, you talk to yourself and you say, this is not happening. Your mind's going to believe it. Your subconscious is going to have that. And that's going to be your game.
Creating the future.
Exactly. I can do this. I believe in myself. I can do this. Repeat it to yourself a few times and trust me, it changes your dynamics. It works. This is it. Look in the mirror and say, you know what? Today I'm going to stop. I'm moving. I'm going to be a different person. And you can change. There's nobody that can be like always. And it doesn't matter how your background was, what's going on in your life today. You can change it. Today, every day we have a new chance. Every day is a new day. Right. We wake up. We don't even know. There's no guarantees you wake up in the morning, right? But when we wake up, it's happening. A new day. Beautiful. Let's get started. Let's maximize opportunities.
Yeah. There you go.
And we say time is always an issue. There is time if you play correctly. This play. I just give an example. I work in the day. I work do this at night. I have a few days that I do the shows. I get a guest here. I do things. I do family business. I travel. I do it all. Yeah. When I'm traveling, I'm doing shows. So I just I used to take my family with me to events when I was working. we hang out, then we go dinner, we go party, whatever. But
Yeah.
so you plan things, you kind of mesh it. It's part of your life, your family, your work, your life, everything is one. You make it work, and it succeeds. You can, you will. That's it. That's it. I believe I will, I can, and I will.
There you go.
Yeah, that was awesome. I love that. Two things that one of them is like that old expression. I don't know who said it, but he who says you can or you can't are both right.
Well, right. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like whether you can or you can't. If you say it, you're gonna be that's gonna be your future. Second thing I wanted to talk about is a little bit about the you know, you were talking about the work life and the you know, people talk about work-life balance, and I always use that expression because there is no such thing as work-life balance. Your life is your life. You only have your life, your life balance, and then work is what you do. Now, if you hate it, then it doesn't matter. You leave work at home and you come home. If you hate your job, when you come home, you're bringing home that hate. I don't care how zen you think you are, but the work-life balance is not a thing. It's like, you know, we need to stop. I think that's like made up to kind of get people accustomed to going to somewhere they hate.
Right.
You know, and just to kind of giving them some relief. So on Monday morning when they wake up, they're not all pissed off every single and you know, mowing people down and stuff, you know, so pissed off, you know what I mean? But I think that was put there and created and perpetuated by people that are want people to go get up in the morning and have those 2 weeks a year of vacation and be looking forward to that Friday night. And, oh, I hate Sunday nights. And then Monday morning, oh, hump day, it's Wednesday. Oh, man, you know, all that stuff is just cliches. They're traps to just get you to go along with the flow. And people like us, you know, and, you know, I think the percentage you said earlier, like 90, I think it's something like 97% of people do not like their job. There's only 3% that are like entrepreneurs, creators, people that actually enjoy their job, people that went to school, graduated, and did the thing they studied in school for a living, which is very rare in itself.
Right.
And I think that that's something that is really part of our purpose, I think, in this show and your show, Hurricane, is that to kind of illustrate that and to show, look, you can do it. You know what I mean? You have to first change your viewpoint. Your mindset's better shift because you ain't going nowhere if you don't shift your mindset. You know what I mean? You just say, I have friends in the Bronx that are still there, and I've talked, you know, so every once in a while a conversation can, you know, and it'll be kind of like almost like we're back to 1986 in the Bronx, and I'm like, bro, how are you gonna get out of there? You know, it's really crazy, but. We've gone over an hour, and Hurricane has been like amazing with us, dropping some knowledge and some tremendous journey and sharing it with us. And we are so blessed to have you here. And please, I know we're asking you now, putting you on the spot, but please come back and let's have a you know, we'll pick. We can really pick
tons of topics, right?
Tons of topic and really break it down. Because this has been such a pleasure to have you on, man. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure was mine. And actually, we more than happy to come back. I mean, certainly it is the same mission here, your show, my show, the same thing.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We're sharing the same message. We want people to believe in themselves and be successful. Bottom line, that's it. There's nothing else. If you're listening, watching, you can do it. Know you can do it. You will do it as long as you listen and do the action. Take the steps. That's it.
Exactly.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you so much for being on. Don't go away. Give us 1 second. We're going to lock up the show, as we say. And thank you so much, Hurricane, everyone.
Thank you.
Wow. That was awesome.
Talk about motivation, man.
I know.
He was dropping nuggets left and right, man. I tell you.
That's the thing, man. You know, and also, you know, it's easy to digest. You know what I mean? Because that's really important, too. Because if you go and you're giving knowledge, and you're above people's, like, you know, that viewpoint thing, it would not really take, you know, it won't go in. But because he's doing it away from storytelling, telling his story, his journey, and he's giving those golden nuggets, it's just like people can really absorb it. And that's why he's successful in that space. And it's going to continue being successful. So awesome. We'll definitely have him back. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. We will see you next time. And for George Batista, Hurricane, myself, and everybody here at Counterparts, have a wonderful